Hello everybody, and welcome to a new YouTube video. It is Danny, also known as iAnnihilate, twitch.tv/iAnnihilate, with another tier list that's better than every single one of Jenkins' tier lists he's ever made. Sorry, it's just the truth. Fellow Canadian, but worse at making tier lists. Today, position 4. Now, supports aren't as cool as cores. We all know it. All core players know that. They're a little cool, but they help us be cores. Without supports, where would the world be? You'd have a jungle Huskar. That's not fun. Us big core players, we need good supports. And the problem with support and ranked is you always have to pick first. If you don't, you might get called some bad words. You might get called slurs. Not fun. So, we're going to go over every single support position 4 that I can think of in the current patch of 7.36c. And I'm going to give my opinion on which ones you should pick, not only that are good in the game, that are like hard to counter, but won't make your teammates mad at you. Also very important. As support, your secondary job, like your second class in the game, like you start, like maybe your paladin / berserker or whatever, like class-wise, is babysitter. You want to make sure your cores have their little babas filled. They have their tangos. You want to make sure they're really happy because their items that they get more of than you might go on the floor otherwise. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with a classic, okay? Ancient Apparition. One of the oldest heroes in Dota. Ancient, some might say. You pick this hero if you hate your teammates. Why? Well, I actually haven't seen very much of it since the Facet patch and the reworks and stuff. But he does absolutely nothing in lane. Now, he might do a little bit of something if somebody picks a combo with Cold Feet. So you press Cold Feet and they get like slowed or stunned in it. Maybe you'll get to do something. Every time you pick Ancient Apparition, you're going to lane with somebody else who also picks a creep hero, and you're going to be completely worthless. You won't be able to gank anywhere. You're not going to be able to get level 6 unless you get all the wisdom runes in the first 40 minutes of the game. It's not going to be fun for you. It's not going to be fun for your teammates. If you do get to like buy your items, like if you're playing Turbo, if you're a Turbo player, you get to skip the part of the game that's miserable for AA. AA does not like the early game. AA is phenomenal in Turbo, which just goes to show like the problem with the hero. And like I said, you want to be babysitting the mentally unstable cores you have by giving them a good lane. Okay? So that's very important in the meta. Now, another stream classic. Hey guys, just a friendly reminder that 77% of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you do want more content and want to be up to date with the latest and greatest Dota 2 content out there on the YouTubes, please subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day. If you play Warlock for your first 100 games of Dota, you might not lose a single one of them. This is by far the easiest, most powerful, easy to scale on support hero in the entire game. You don't even have to do the like no heal meta build. I don't know what the current skill build is. If you're noob, just skill your heal, you'll be fine in the lane. The lane will be easy no matter what. You don't even have to buy tangos to give to your cores in the lane. You can just heal them. You will ult and kill the whole screen. All of your abilities do like the Fatal Bonds is % damage based off your teammates' items and stuff because it like does like bonus damage when they do damage. The ult has a BKB piercing stun when it hits the screen. It hits the whole screen. You can't miss. It's great. Would recommend for lower MMR players. Now, in high MMR, the only person I've ever seen pick Warlock and win a game in the past 3 years, like it was good at some point, and Dubu was playing it, but in recent times, I've seen maybe Fishman play it. That's it. In like one Europe game I played. I don't remember if he won or lost, but I think he's the only one still playing it in high-ranked games. Let's pick something random. Actually, no. We have F, we have Herald, we have the WPP, and we have AA. Let's get an S tier hero going. Now, unfortunately, for all the freaks in the chat, the best position 4 hero in all of the Dota right now. I don't know if anyone in the chat will guess it before I find it on the screen. Why can't I find it? It should be in the game. But in this tier, like... Hoodwink. This is by far the most broken position 4 hero in Dota. You get the double bounce facet thing on your Q. I mean, this hero plays itself. It also scales. It buys the Glypnir, buys the Daedalus. Maybe you can get a little support item in between on with like the Glimmer Cape or something. But this is like the quintessential position 4 hero right now. It's very classic backline support that scales in damage throughout the game and has follow-up and a little bit of setup. Very, very powerful hero. A little difficult to play. Wouldn't recommend it for complete beginners. Honestly, though, if it was like the first hero you wanted to learn in Dota, like maybe you just got done the Warlock protection plan strat. You like played a billion games of Warlock. You want to play something a little different. Hoodwink does have a skill shot, and it's fun to play. You'll have a good time learning it. You might not succeed so much in your early games. Now, my favorite 4 hero to play right now, and I don't know if it's good or bad, honestly. I haven't lost a game as position 4 on this hero this patch, but no one else is really picking it. It doesn't have the greatest stats on the trackers and the Dota buffs out there. I really enjoy position 4 Muerta, and I think it's undervalued right now. Maybe you're a carry player who plays a lot of Muerta, or you just like Muerta in general. You can try and make it work as a 4. You play it very similar to Hoodwink, where you're the backline support that kind of farms a bit, and you get the same type of items. You go like Glypnir and carry items. If you are going to play Muerta, you should go brown boot, like Null Talisman in the lane with Wand, brown boots, Atos, not Maelstrom, okay, Atos to play in the early game, and then treads Glypnir and all the carry items. But Muerta is insanely powerful right now. I don't know if I'll mention Elder Titan as a 4. Elder Titan definitely is good as a 5. I think he might be the best 5, honestly, or at least close to it. But 4 is a little different. Another hero that just jumped out to me while I was yapping is Monkey King. I think Monkey King is a phenomenal hero right now. I think it's a great carry. 4 is a little bit wonky. I think if you're really good at Monkey King, it's like almost similar to how I was talking about Muerta, where like if you play a lot of Monkey King carry and you have to play 4, it's a different play style for sure, especially the laning phase in the early game. But if you're just good mechanically on the hero, you can make it make it work for sure. And it's pretty good in that respect. The difference between 4 and 5. 4 usually has to be a lot more active than 5 and can sacrifice lane strength sometimes. So like heroes that can do it like both ways, like Hoodwink, they're very strong in lane and they have good setup and gank potential, are good. But there's been plenty of times where people pick heroes like a Nyx 4, where that would be terrible as 5 because you would grief your carry's lane really hard. Griefing the offlaner's lane, there's stuff you could do. You can pull creeps, whether it's the camp or like going behind the tower and dragging them around. There's more options to like make a shitty lane work for a 4 than a 5. 5, you have to do well in your lane or there's no other option. And you can stack the Ancients as a 4. A lot of offlaners like Beastmaster, Darkseer, they can clear Ancient. So if you have a really rough matchup in the offlane and you're like a kind of greedy position 4, you can just stack Ancients and stuff for them, and you won't like grief your core as hard. Whereas like if you pick Nyx 5 and you lose your lane, there's like nothing to do in the game. Name a few pro players to learn from for each hero. These videos usually last like 30 to 40 minutes without me doing that. I really can't like talk too much more about it. If I will say, I'll post it in the chat. Maybe I'll put it in the description of the video. If you're looking for pro players to watch on any hero, just go to the pro tracker and look up whatever hero you want. I can't tell you who's best at what hero and stuff like that, but anybody you look on there is like good to look at. You can just pick your favorite player from whatever teams too. Moving on. Wind Ranger, I feel the same about Monkey King. It's more of like a core hero for sure right now, but you can make it work if you're just really good at Wind Ranger. It's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be easy every time. It is strong in lane, so you have that going for you, but it definitely doesn't scale as well in a slow game generally, as well as like a Muerta or a Hoodwink will, or like, you know, Monkey King has little roam potential. Morphling 4, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it off the list. You'd have to ask someone who's played with it more than me. It has a terrible win rate on the stat websites, but some players like have insane win rates with it or pick it in tournaments, and I just have no opinion, or I've barely ever seen it, or I haven't played it at all, so I don't want to just like lie about it. Abaddon 4 or 5, I don't think Abaddon's a good 4, but now that you mention it, Herald Superstar. I think Abaddon is really, really good in low rank games. Especially if you get Aghanims, that will like solo carry team fights in low rank games. Now, will you have a strong mid game presence? Not usually as a 4, but you'll be strong in the lane, even as a melee hero. The shield is really strong. Though really, you're just trying to play for an Aghanims on the hero and try to win team fights later. So it's a bit different play style wise than like a high rank position forward play as. I don't really believe in Clink's 4 right now. Venge, I think like this section, the C section, is turning into heroes that are normally cores but can be played as supports would be a better way to put it. I would much rather have an offlane Venge or a carry Venge than a 4 or 5 Venge, and I feel the same way about both Monkey King and Wind Ranger. Like I'd even rather have an offlane Monkey King than a 4 Monkey King a lot of the time, but it can work. It's not impossible. It's not bad. That's the most important thing. Shaker, Shaker's one of my favorite heroes of all time as a 4. I think he's too greedy right now, and it doesn't pay off enough a lot of the time. You're just the worst version of other heroes that I'll put on the list, like especially Tiny or even Nyx right now. Kind of fill his role in the early game a little better as like a strength roamer stunner with a blink later. Nyx doesn't even buy a blink anymore, but like set like that kind of initiator or pickoff hero. Maybe a couple buffs to Shaker or a couple nerfs to Tiny or Nyx, and he'll get picked a lot. I do think he's a little underrated, but I don't think he has a spot really in the meta. I think getting the level 0 Earthshock helps a lot for the hero in the early lane, but it doesn't help him enough to make him as strong as the other heroes. You're really only picking Shaker if you really like the hero and you just want to play it. So it just fits right into D perfectly. Earth Spirit, I don't want to like all the Earth Spirit players I know say, yeah, the hero sucks right now. Now, if you're really, really good at Earth Spirit, if you're an Earth Spirit guy, you can maybe bump it up to C. Like you can maybe make it work, but it's kind of similar story to Shaker, where like you're a greedy position 4, and it doesn't pay off as much as it should compared to the other heroes in the role, like Tiny, that just one-shots the whole screen with a toss at level 7. Even Nyx, like I was talking about, like the pathing or whatever on his ult is not just much better melee hero options for support right now. Even Clockwerk is much, much stronger. Spirit Breaker actually is strong enough to pick as a 4, as a melee guy. It's a little greedy. You're going to be a little weak in the lane, especially level 1 when you just have Bash, and it's kind of hard to get in there. But I would only, like, he's B tier because, like, really you should be picking, like, Nyx or Tiny instead if it's available. It's not, like, terrible to pick Spirit Breaker. I think he's one of the most picked best heroes in 4. But he gets picked a lot when Nyx, Pudge, and Tiny are banned. Like, he's not really he doesn't really get banned that much. He's not very highly contested. It is a strong hero. But I wouldn't say he's like giga meta. I might be convincing myself as I keep speaking, but I think because there's like 2 better heroes, if not 3, above him, we just gonna have to slot him into B tier. Weaver, I would say last patch or like even a couple weeks ago, I would slot this into S and be like, yep, this hero's unbeatable. But I've kind of changed my mind a bit on it. I don't feel that oppressed by support Weavers these days. Why do I not play Hoodwink when I play support? I tried it a couple patches ago when she was really good, because she's been good for a long time now. I just don't vibe with the hero very much, especially on Europe ping for whatever reason. I find the hero annoying, whereas I enjoy Muerta a lot. I enjoy a lot of the other heroes a lot more. I've even played a Shaker game, and I did okay in that. But I just don't like the hero for whatever reason. It's not really a because I think the hero's bad thing. It's more of a me thing. But yeah, Weaver I thought was like best hero in all of the Dota. Nowadays I'm a little lower on the list with it. I don't think it got that much weaker. I don't remember if there was a change specifically this patch, because this patch has been out for at least a few weeks now. I haven't read the notes in a while, but it hasn't had the same amount of impact as the other heroes on the list in my game specifically. It has been picked a lot, but it doesn't feel like there's way too many games where I play against like Tiny or Hoodwink where they just take over the entire game, and I'm just like, well, I guess I'm just existing now. Moving on. Rubick. Rubick is I'm gonna put him into B tier. I think he's S tier against certain heroes. A tier against certain heroes. Like, if there's a Weaver in the game, you're going to be big chillin' on Rubick. Like, he turns into S tier almost. Like, Rubick with Sakuchi is like 4 times as good as Weaver with Sakuchi. Now, would I just slam pick Rubick if other heroes in the patch are available to me? Like, I would rather just pick Weaver over Rubick, even saying that. I'd definitely rather be Hoodwink. I'd rather be a lot of other heroes that are going to get added to the list above him. But if I just want to play a good, solid hero, and they have some of the good heroes, then yeah, I'm Rubick. Like, let's say, for whatever reason, you're in a Dota game, okay? And they picked Weaver, A-tier hero, and it didn't get banned or double-picked. All of a sudden, Rubick is also A-tier, if not S-tier. Like, he's better against the heroes above him than the ones below him, if that makes sense. It's like a weird hero to balance. Like, he really needs one of the broken heroes in the game to steal a spell from to like go up in the tier list. Not necessarily like he counters them, but Marcy, we're gonna put that basically rename. I'm not gonna rename it right now, but we're gonna rename the C tier to like carry heroes that like carry players do well on as 4 sometimes. I think Marcy's fine. I think it can work if you're good at it. I think it turns into a hyper carry eventually if you have a good start, or even like a decent mid game. Some games you can just be a sidekick or a bot that like movement speed people by drum, whatever, solar, just buff people. But I even saw Jinkyu go Glipnir first item Marcy, like Brown Boots Maelstrom Marcy, and like solo carry some games. You can be a monster on this hero. I think Jinkyu is the one who I've seen play the most Marcy in tournaments recently too. Like, he usually does it with Magnus, and he just like completely takes over some games. But I don't see other people have the same success. I think Rubick is really fun. It's just hard to lane sometimes. Like, there's some, like, if you play against Chaos Knight and like Chaos Knight CM, you might have a hard lane, or like Chaos Knight +1, or like even an Ursa +1 sometimes. You're trying to like in almost like in the same way AA wants to skip and just play a turbo game. You kind of just want like the laning phase to be over and you hit level 6. Like, you don't really care so much about laning on Rubick. So that's like the hard part. What else do we got here? Oh yeah. Tinies and hacking and cheating. This hero, never gets through pick ban in my ranked games. It either gets double picked instantly or it's pre-banned every game as mid, or like the mids want it, the supports want it. Usually someone picks it and they're like, can swap any role, don't care. Like, it's that broken. Rubick doesn't hate playing against Tiny. It's definitely worse for Rubick than Weaver. Like, Weaver has a harder time killing Rubick with Sakuchi than Tiny does killing a Rubick that has Toss. Like, he does get the Toss facet and it does 1,000,000 damage. He also can get Avalanche. But Tiny can also just one-shot you back, so it is a bit of a harder matchup. I would say that, like, against Weaver, Rubick's, like, S tier. Against Tiny is just A tier. But, like I said, Rubick's a hero that's best when they have the best heroes. Bounty Hunter is interesting. I think his laning phase is really easy with the Shuriken going through thing facet. I don't think it's like broken, but it's definitely better than people give him credit for. Sven support. This is for position 4. I'll do position 5 another day. This is specifically for 4. I don't know if Sven is a good 4. I think it's like mostly only a 5. I've seen it do well at Riyadh, I think. What else are we missing? There's so many heroes I'm forgetting about, actually. Dark Willow. Dark Willow fell down the tree from, like, S, then A to B. She's still decent. Like, I think the recent nerf to not being able to put your ult, Bedlam, on allies was a big enough nerf. Before that, she was A tier, and then before they nerfed the Bramble thing, that's still really strong. S tier for sure. What else are we missing here? I am very biased. To every Grimstroke player in the world out there, write me hate comments or something. I think if you pick Grimstroke, you're actively trying to, like, lose a Dota game. I feel the same way about AA. Like, you're not actually trying to win. You're just hoping your team carries you, and maybe you'll get to press your buttons and it'll look really pretty on the screen. Half of Grimstroke's abilities are just, like, purely cosmetic. Like, they just look really pretty on the screen. They don't do anything. Sometimes you can carry a game with Ags at, like, 40 minutes. You're really only an Inkswell, and maybe the Silence is okay against some heroes, and that's about it. Your ult is usually completely worthless. Your Q just farms. That's it. It doesn't really do much in fights. This hero sucks. I'm sorry if you play it. I'm sorry, not sorry. Pudge. I'm going to put Pudge in A tier. I don't think he's quite S. I think his hook facet is insanely broken, and it's really strong. I think that having the option to have a save with your shard later on is really strong too, but not near the same power level as, like, Hoodwink Tiny. I think the problem with Pudge is still his lane a lot of the time, and you can make it work as a 4 a lot easier than a 5. The hook is insane, but it's also been nerfed a little bit. I don't know. I think the win rates kind of support this, where, like, the hero's picked an insane amount and the win rate is still decent, but it's not high. Like, he probably has the lowest win rate out of all the most picked supports. I still think he's very, very strong. Like, I'm not trying to hate on Pudge. You know, I know there's a lot of Pudge propaganda out there. People love Pudge. Yeah, I was gonna do Phoenix next. Phoenix, it's somewhere between A and S. I don't know. I want to put it in S. I really do. Yeah, we're going to put him in S. I don't know. I feel like he's just broken. I hate playing against this hero. I love when it's on my team. Now, is the win rate giga strong? I don't know. It just feels oppressive to play against in a different way. Like, I don't ever feel like, oh, this Phoenix is 20-0 carrying the game like Hoodwink and Tiny can do, or even Weaver. But it's, like, oppressive in the same way that Pudge is oppressive. It's just, like, really annoying to play against. And you feel the presence of the hero on the whole map normally. Like, very good at ganking other lanes, very strong in the early laning phase. Egg is always a problem. What is the facet, the Radiance facet called, where you're low in health so you do damage around you? You just cheese a lot of melee heroes in lane that try to chase you. Dying Light, I think it's what it's called. Yeah, it's very, very, very strong hero. I'm not sure. Low S, very high A, for sure. But Where's the bug man? Where's Nyx? Nyx, I'm going to put very high A or maybe middle of A. Nyx is very good, but he's very greedy. Like, it's crazy to me that his preferred build is just brown boots Dagon. Like, and like Dagon 5. A lot of this hero's losses aren't because the hero itself is weak, but because it does so little in the early lane. He kind of just jungles with the W a lot of the time. Like, he comes in and out of the lane. You're throwing your offlaner out to dry a lot of the time. You're just trying to pull camps or pull waves and just like nuke, like you're trying to skip the laning phase in the most greedy way possible. And if you just get a couple kills and get going in the mid game and catch up after like usually a poor lane, or if by a miracle of God you just win your lane, it's like unbeatable. It's insanely strong if the early game goes even. And where's Clock? Where's Clock? Oh yeah, Snapfire. I love playing Snapfire. I also think this is like this entire pool of heroes is literally the same archetype, and I might be like rating them a little lower than I should. But like Snapfire's played a lot more as offlane or mid right now. I even think I've seen someone play it as a carry. And I think it's better as a core, but it can work as 4 because it kind of does the hoodwink thing, but a little worse. Same with all the other heroes. Like, they just she turns into a carry later on. Good Greaves buyer, good Glipnir buyer, scales really well. Very strong in lane, but also like very immobile and slow and long cooldown ult, which is not true for a lot of the other heroes on the list. Like, I think Hoodwink's ult, for example, or like tiny spells. All the other heroes have much lower cooldowns. Yeah, so like Snapfire was Gork played as a carry? Exactly. I think the hero is very strong as a core right now. It's honestly strong in all roles, but just stronger as a core. I don't think it's like bad as a support necessarily. I play it as a 4 and do fine as well. It's one of those heroes where core players will probably have a higher win rate playing it than even if as a support than like if a support player played it. You got to be a little bit greedier on those kinds of heroes. Where's the big clock man? I don't think I've seen any Wisp 4s. I feel like I'll just put him in the 5 list. You can probably play it as a 4. Clock is a better 5 than a 4, I think. But he's still like very powerful meta hero for sure. If Clock is available and you like playing melee heroes as any support, you should just pick it. I feel kind of similar about Pudge, not so much about Nyx. So I'd say that like Clock is a bit better than Nyx, for example. If Tiny's banned, I don't think there's a single better... Why isn't it swapping? I don't think there's a single better like melee support in the game. Clock is very, very insane right now. Tusk, Tusky. Tusk, unfortunately, I don't know. Very low B or very high C. I think the hero is better than the rest of these C heroes and worse than all these B heroes. And again, like look how many melee heroes above him on the list, right? Like Tiny, Clock, Nyx, Pudge, Spirit Breaker, Bounty. I would pick all of those before I'd want to play Tusk. And the problem a lot of times where with supports is you kind of have to be a bit of a meta slave as a support a lot of the time because you don't get to see what you're playing against. Like if you got to see your lane matchups more often or what hero you would be playing with, some of these heroes would go up and down the tier list a little bit. But picking blind as a support is really hard if you're not picking like the absolute best heroes a lot of the time. We can put Skywrath on here. I'm going to throw some heroes up really quickly in the pick for fun section, then I'll talk about them all as a group. Where is Shadow Shaman? Just make sure I'm not forgetting any other heroes. I almost want to put Lena in there, but I think we'll ignore Lena as a support. Okay. There's a few more supports that I'm seeing that I will add to the list. As far as these heroes go, I don't think Shadow Shaman is nearly as broken as he was when he's in every game at the start of the patch. I think Jakiro's okay. I think Sky is okay. But all the heroes above them are so much better, even at doing their own job, that you're really only picking these heroes if you just feel like playing them, and there's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, like for supports, the D tier heroes really aren't that bad. They're just way not as good. Like these are just broken heroes above them, if that makes sense. It's not that they're like, oh, if you pick these, you can't win. Like AA and Grimstroke, if you pick them, good luck winning. But this D section, like, you can definitely win on them. If you like playing them, go ahead. Just know that, like, people that play these heroes above you are going to win more often. Is indeed the Reese hero tier list, the Superstar, Herald Superstar division. Thanks for the sub, Zazie. Appreciate it. Lion? True. You are a very smart man. And or other. I don't want to assume genders. You're just very smart human. There we go. Where's Leon? Where is Lion? What'd you guys do to Lion? Oh. Bottom left. There he is. This is for position 4, yeah. Lion's honestly fine. You can maybe throw him in the D tier for most of the time. I don't think he's quite F tier. A couple of years ago, if you asked me about Lion, if your name wasn't Kaka and you picked this hero, you were griefing. Like, usually only 3 people in the world can actually play Lion and win a game on it, or it's completely broken, like the mana drain added damage patch like a couple of years ago or a year ago now. I don't know. The patches are kind of like going so fast. But this hero in Herald, you're gonna have 100 Finger of Death stacks and one shot the whole screen eventually. Pick of Hate Team Wyvern. Wyvern's actually really good. Well, really good is definitely maybe not the word I would use. I think we're going to put this here. We're going to put the BC Zeus in pick for fun. I think it's fine. It's just not that good. They nerfed it a bunch. Why is Abaddon bad? It's a really high win rate right now. In what bracket? As a 4? I feel like it's a 5 here. I don't think it's a... Like, I will put this high on the list on 5. But 4? Yeah, this is for 4 heroes. That would be on the 5 list. Again, not to be confusing, some heroes can go in both lists. Like, some 4 and 5 heroes are interchangeable. I think Abaddon is almost purely a position 5 hero. There's very few games I'd want a position 4 Abaddon on my team. Now, if you're in Herald, then Elder Titan, I feel the same. I think you have to play Elder Titan as a 5. I could be wrong. Maybe some like big-brained 4 player can tell me I'm wrong about that. But as far as I can tell, the pick rate for like Elder Titan is like 10x, if not 100x higher as a 5 than a 4. Same with Abaddon. So I'm looking at Pro Tracker right now. Elder Titan is actually decently strong as a 4, but played 6 to 7 times as much as a 5. We can throw Elder Titan in there. Honestly, I don't think anybody below 11 KMR plays Elder Titan at all. Like, normally no one plays the hero, not even like one time in their life by the time they get that high in rank. He's got a really high win rate. We're just gonna throw him up there. I think it's fine. If he can be played as both, then yeah, he's really good. Well, again, I'm not gonna make the like. I can't make a list on the Divine Immortal bracket. I feel like that's less applicable than the like average Joe bracket. Like if you were to tell me it was really high win rate in like Ancient Legend or Crusader or something, I'd be more willing to change my mind on it. But I feel like the hero is really good in low rank games. And in those games, like that's a small percentage of people, and I don't play in those games. I can only give my perspective and my opinion of like playing against it or having it on my team or seeing it in low rank games. I can't tell, like, even if the Strats website says it's good in Divine Immortal, I don't really, like, have any opinion on that because I don't play in those games, if that makes sense. Again, like, for all these tier lists, you might have a different list. This is, like, my opinion. metas are different at every rank, I try my best to be inclusive. It's like Divine Immortal games are their own meta. My Immortal games, like 11k, 10k games, are their own meta. Even the 13 to 14k MMR games are their own meta. Let's see. Where is Morana? You guys said Morana. Morana, you pick this if you hate your team. Now, I think in theory, Morana is a very good hero. I think in theory, she buys like auras. She can farm very quickly. She scales pretty well. None of this applies because every Morana hero that isn't 14k MMR and 1 a TI just stays in lane shooting arrows like their Pudge and doesn't get any items and doesn't do anything. Their only useful trait is pressing their R button. If I've played games at my rank personally where I pick Ember Spirit. Guys, we can do Searing Chains arrow. And then I'm like, come mid, come gank Brana, I'll set up chains for your arrow. And then I'm about to chains the enemy mid, and then arrow just whizzes by and misses. And the play's over. Like, they never wait for setup. They just want to be the cool 360 no-scope arrower. I don't think she's very good at all. What's going on with Monkey King? I mean, in pubs, I think Monkey King 4, and this is what the list is for. I think Monkey King 4 is not that good in pubs, personally. In competitive play, maybe it's really strong. I don't think the win rate's that good on any stat website for Monkey King 4. I think it's like way better as a carry. Pro play is completely different. Like, for example, in pubs, Chaos Knight is an S tier hero. In pro play, it can't win a game. So, just keep that in mind. What other 4? Are we missing any 4 heroes? Witch Doctor, we're going to put in Herald Superstar Division. I think the nerf to the W made this hero a lot less oppressive. I think it's still decently good. Maybe like C or D tier. Maybe even B tier some games. But definitely a Herald hero. Yeah, Sven is mostly a 5. I'll look through the list of the most played heroes just in case I forget anything. Techies and Bat, not really played that much. And Shadow Demon. I think C for Shadow Demon. We'll just like rapid fire some of these extra heroes I don't see too often because I don't have too big of an opinion on them. I think Enchantress is purely a 5. Same with Chen for the most part, and Lich. What was the other one? Techies. I think pick for fun for Techies, honestly. I think the same thing with Bat. I think if you're really, really good for Bat, maybe it's okay. Like, I don't think these heroes are necessarily so bad that you can't win in your griefing. It's just, again, they're not, like, bad. They're just so many good support heroes right now that kind of... Disruptor, Terrorblade, nah. I don't think those are 4 heroes. Those are, like, all specifically 5 heroes. Maybe Terrorblade, but Furion's not applicable support right now. Yeah, unfortunately, Chops, a lot of your heroes just aren't very meta right now. I think this is position 4. I'm going to like give the list another glance over at the bottom. Let's see. Let me look at the bottom here. I don't see any position 4 heroes I'm missing out on. I see a lot of 5 heroes. I'll do the 5 list in a couple days or something, or maybe even tomorrow's stream. But yeah, I think this is the list. I don't know if I really want to move any around. I don't think Ench is a good 4. Dawnbreaker's not a 4. Treant and Io, those are 5s. So that'll be on the list for next time. Pugna, Clinks, I don't think so. I don't think Clinks is pickable as a 4. There's like way too many carry options for 4, honestly. Like the entire C tier is almost exclusively just carries or offlaners that get picked as a 4 and then turn into a carry. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this list. I don't think I'm missing any Herald's position 4s either. Swap Marcy and Rubick? No, Rubick is really strong right now. Like, Rubick is C tier in a bad Rubick game and, like, A or S tier in a good Rubick game, and it balances out to B. Undying? Undying is exclusively a 5. But yeah, that's it for the list. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube video, or the grandma's going back in the cage. I think this is a very powerful list. You might disagree with something, maybe leave a comment. If I forgot your hero, it's because I hate you very much. I absolutely hate you if I didn't put your hero on the list. Yeah, bye.